Hello and welcome to Resident Advisors Exchange podcast live. My name is Martha. Thank you so much for being with us. And I'm so excited to say that Roska is our guest this time. Hello and welcome, Roska.
Yes, how you doing? You right?
Good, thank you. I'm excited to chat with you. Thanks so much for joining us. There's so much to talk about, but I think we should start at the beginning. So please could you take us back and share with us your earliest memory connected to sound or music?
Sound or music? I'd say when I was early, I'd say just before my teens. I'd say when I was in primary school, that was my first sort of like remembering like music and styles and stuff like that. And my mum used to listen to a lot of R&B, like Lovers Rock, which is like reggae. It's like reggae, R&B reggae. And my dad my dad was a DJ as well, so he's part of a sound system that was around where I'm at now in SE in Catford, and so my uncles as well. So three of my uncles were part of a sound system with my dad, and he used to play a lot of reggae and everything basically, everything based around sort of Caribbean music. So that's my introduction to music from an early age that I remember. And then like as I got older through sort of like my early teens, 13, 14, 15, that's when I started sort of like finding out what I wanted to listen to in terms of like styles and sounds. So yeah, that's my early remembering styles. Yeah.
Okay. So did you have a go at DJing before you had a go at making music?
I did. So when I was in my late teens, I started MCing as well. So I was MCing, and then my cousin, he was my DJ, and so every time he wasn't DJing, I was DJing. So I would learn that through that way, through turntables, and then obviously later on CDJs.
And what kind of music were you playing when you very first started?
Garage, and so my cousin, he was into jungle at the time, and he would show me all the music and everything. And then I found garage, and I just found it. I like the tempo, especially for MC, and I found that was just like ideal tempo, and just kind of like gravitated to that sound more than jungle and D&B. That took me through up until forever basically. That's just been my main sort of like Oh, I should, to be fair, really and truly, I should be making garage. I'm thinking about it. I've listened to garage nearly all my life. It's like I make funky, but that's another story.
Why do you think you didn't go down the garage path in the end?
So garage came along, then dubstep, or the early part before dubstep was called dubstep, and then grime as well. So around sort of like where is it, about 90, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, around that period was like, I was listening to, sort of like the early dubstep and then the grime. And I started making grime a bit, and then I lost everything around 2005. My hard drive died. So I had to start again, basically. So I think that's it was like a fresh start, but kind of, I just didn't want to go back and make it start again, if you know what I mean. It's just, felt like turning back to go and do the same thing again. So I kind of just took my skills elsewhere, basically. Yeah.
Fresh start, fair enough.
Yeah.
So I would love it if you could guide us through your kind of studio setup at the moment.
At the moment, it's kind of minimal because I mentioned before I was moving and everything, but generally it's controller. It's this MacBook. I've got two MacBooks. One's got like my older stuff on there that's not compatible with this one, and then I've got my PC as well, which has all my stuff, including my first album from like, I got that PC. When did I get it? 2009. So that's got all the old stuff on there, and it's got ideas. I usually grab like ideas. So like over the last like 5 years, a lot of the music that I've probably released, at least I'll say about 25% of them have been like old tracks where I've just grabbed old like stems and just kind of just like redone the whole track. Yeah, my controller, my MIDI controller, my keyboard, and I used to use a lot of like outboard gear, but I just felt like I could do a lot of the stuff just inside the Mac. So I just kind of like use just a lot of like software and plugins that emulate what I've been able to do over the last like 10, 15 years. So yeah, it's kind of very, very minimal.
So do you find yourself making, sketches and then sort of moving away from them, thinking, oh, I'll come back to that at another point?
I used to, but I've learned how to just make tracks from start to finish. So a lot of the music I make, if I haven't got time, then I'll just make little small sketches. But most of the time, I'll start a track from start to finish, bounce it off, listen to it a few times, and go back to it, and then do it, finish it off. So add the the final bits, effects, the automation, and the changes and stuff. So it's usually as basic as it can be, and then I'll elaborate on it at a later date. So most of the time, yeah, it's a finished track. I could play it out if I wanted to and test it and see how it feels.
This is a very streamlined process.
Yeah, I think it's like, how can I explain? It's like, it's just working smarter. I've just learned how to work smarter during making music. It's like, I know what I want to hear, especially like with like the Roska material. It's like, I know what that's capable of. And generally, I'd like to think I know what people know that listen to Roska all the time will know what they're gonna hear, what they're gonna get. So I try not to do too much for Roska, because I feel I've done it before where I've tried to go a bit more further with the Roska stuff and push it out a little bit more, and it just alienates people. Do you know what I mean? So to keep myself happy and keep everybody happy is always good to find a happy medium and kind of work. And I've learned that over the years. Just you'll hear it. Sometimes you get some people that might listen to like a Wookiee track or maybe a sticky track, and it's a signature sound, isn't it? It's like you hear it, but to the naked eye, it's just, or ear, it's just like it's the same track. Do you get what I'm saying? But to the musician or the heads that know, it's like it's a different track, but it's a signature sound. You know what I mean? So it's learning to find that signature sound and be able to switch it up each track. So those that know it's a Roska track, and but you're able to still keep people excited in their ears listening. So that's kind of what I've learned over the years and what to do
to sort of balance that line between being distinctive and being repetitive.
That's right. Yeah, it's easily done. It's like if whatever genre you think about, there's a rule of how it's meant to be. Like when you listen to like dubstep, it's either going to be a half step or it's going to be like some sort of like hybrid garage dubstep, two-step. And it's like you try and keep within those rules, and then you add your own thing on top to kind of give it your own sound and style. So that's how I work with what I've got with funky and anything that's sort of like works around that style and style.
Oh, I feel like I have so much I want to ask you. I don't know if this is boring or not, then just let me know.
No.
So I was just wondering, because you've obviously got, a lot going on and you're very prolific. How do you stay organized? And is your hard drive a mess, or do you have systems?
I'm a pretty organized person. So I'll give you a backstory on it as well. It's like, so from 2004 to 2007, end of 2000, so beginning of 2008, I was working at O2 mobile phone shop. So I went from part-time to acting manager. And during that time, when I was assistant manager to manager, during that time, there was periods where my manager was off sick for long periods, or I was just literally in charge of the whole shop. And from there, I learned how to organize, work with a team of 10, work everything out, work out where everybody's meant to be. You do rotas, you do stock checks, you do end of year stock checks, you do yeah, so much things that you're accountable for. So when you scale that down to one person, me on this is easy for me. Do you know what I mean? So like on a Sunday, I don't really do it now because I've got like notes. I've got loads of things. I've got like reminders in my phone, but I'd write down a list of stuff that need to be done. Some things can be like, can take a few days. Some things can take weeks or whatever. So it could be something as simple as, change that hi-hat on that track, or it could be process that release to go out for the 13th of January, but put it out, but set it, get it processed now. So it's loads of things, and I'll just mark it off every single time. So nothing gets missed. Like if it gets missed, it's just got missed and it's out of my hands. But a lot of things I do is very organized. And I think that's why, like, even with my label, it's always just been me. Like now and then I'll take on an intern here and there if I need to, but a lot of the time it's just me processing, doing everything from start to finish, liaising with the artist, making sure the whole projects are done. Now, even with my MacBook, everything's got its own place. It's like I've got like if I've finished a track and it's been out, it will come off this and it'll go onto a hard drive. So I've got about 10 or 15 hard drives, like, and I know exactly what's on there. So, and that's come from the back of being losing a lot of my music, early on. So I've just learned from my mistakes. It's like, have backups, have this, have that. So I've got a time backup. I've got to time back this up to date. So I know that's got to be done. So everything is very, 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 very organized with me. And I try not to do too much. I try and keep my workload down as much as I can, so it doesn't overload in my brain. So yeah, a lot of it's just it's got to be organized. Like even if you talk to any of the artists on Kicks and Snares, from the new artists to artists, literally they'll tell you, like, I'm always in contact with them, always making sure they know what needs to be done or what's happening with their release, so they know, there's no surprises, and keep a nice honest environment, in terms of releasing and putting out good music.
I love that. I'm sure the artists appreciate that too.
100%. I kid you not, you'd be surprised how much artists, turn around and be like, I've never had this sort of like service before with, it's usually there's the tracks, they got the master back, you got the artwork back, they know the release date, and there's nothing else, even down to like accounting and stuff like that. They end up having to chase that. Whereas with me, it's like, I've got someone that I work with that deals with that. So that's one thing that I don't deal with, and we know it always gets sorted out. Everybody, I make sure everybody gets paid, as long as their music sells, obviously. But yeah, it's like, I just try my best to be whatever I would like done for me musically, I try and do it for anybody that I take on, and there's periods where I don't take on anybody because I know that, the first thing, it's weird because beginning of the year, I was like, right, I want to limit how much people I'll release just for the year. And then lockdown hit. So it's like, I'm so glad that I didn't make any commitments with anybody, prior to that, because I'd feel like I've let them down as well. So, it's important to me to not let people down and, know what I'm capable of doing, just as a whole, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have still been extremely prolific this year. Like, you've actually put out so much music.
I know.
Before we go any further, let's just have a roundup of your recent releases or your 2020 releases. So take me through.
I can't even go through it myself.
You can't even remember. I've got a list. So you've had 8 tracks.
Yeah.
You've had summer compilation for Kicks and Snares, and then as for Congo, you've had the Liberty Sound release.
Yeah.
Where should we start? I want to hear about all of them. So
I'll start. There's one that you missed out, which was Internal Sunshine, which was like a five tracker that had three vocalists on there. Elle Delaney, who else did I have on it? Tasty Lopez and Alicia Lee. Nearly slips out my head, but yeah. So basically, the idea with that was I wanted to make a project from start to finish, mix, master it myself, do the artwork myself, and basically just kind of like show people that you don't need to spend that much money to put out a release. You can do it at home without anything, So that was kind of the idea behind that. But I'd say overall, the whole idea with everything that I've done this year has been just have fun with it. Because the one thing that a musician, a producer DJ has over a DJ is that you can put music out whenever. And also a label, if you run a label, you can put music out whenever you want. So I just wanted to kind of take advantage of that and have fun with it as well. You know, if there was a period where I thought it weren't fun anymore, I would have stopped, and then I would have, do you know what I mean? But for me, it's like, I want to have fun with this and see what, just see what happens. You know, for me, music's always been fun first, business after, bearing in mind that, if you're working with people, business is always part of it. So I'm just having fun with it basically, and just seeing what happens. And no one's come and said this is too much music, or you just throw music out there or whatever. But I can honestly say everything I'll put out, the summer compilation, that's like a recap of what we put out. I just kind of want to remind people what we put out over the best tracks, basically what we've put out, and remind people. So anybody that might have missed those EPs, they can pick that up and then hopefully revisit the full EP, or the project, like with Murder He Wrote, MA1, Polo, and Motu. We done these projects, so like similar to 8 tracks, we done a collector called Collection Volume 1. So what we did was we compiled 8 of the tracks that they put out on Kicks and Snares, or the best ones, and then maybe a couple of new ones, and then we put them together in one package, and then re-released it. So with Murder He Wrote, his first release was 2016 on Kicks and Snares, and then you'd bring one of those tracks forward, put it in that EP, and it's like you've either caught someone that have just discovered Kicks and Snares or Roska or a Murder He Wrote, and then you're bringing something that they might not have noticed that come out into the forefront. So with what I do is, it's more just to have fun with it, man. And also, again, with Murder He Wrote's project, we recouped so much. We're able to pay him, especially with the Bandcamp days and everything. It's like, it's such a good feeling to be able to put some money in, these guys' pockets, and be able to just, show them that their music can sell, their music can do well, and we can get your music in the right hands. And that's the most important thing for me when putting out music for everybody.
Let's talk a bit about Congo, your other alias.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that you keep Roska as is, basically, and just keep moving forward with Roska as a distinctive sound. What was the motivation to start this alias?
So I started Congo at the same time I started Roska, over 10 years, or about 15 years ago. And then I wanted to see which one would go first, and Roska took over and done his thing. So I was like, right, okay. So I put it on the back burner. I'd released like 3 EPs at the time, around 2008. And then every few years, someone would ask me for, is there any more Congo stuff coming out? So I never really kept it like a secret as such to, hide or, keep them separate. But, it wasn't a thing where I was going, yes, Roska is Congo. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of more just kind of, if people know, they know. It's not a secret. And it was funny. I think it was Andrew Rice. He wrote, he done a review on my first one last year. And I think he wanted to let people know that Roska was Congo and Congo was Roska. But like, it's like, man, it's out there, man. If people know, they know it. I mean, it's like a who cares. But with Congo, it became more of a tribal sort of like hybrid, funky sort of thing. And then I kind of like didn't know where to take it, because I felt like a lot of the stuff that was in Congo was already in Roska. So I didn't want to put 2 things out and they're the same thing, because I'm using a lot of the skeleton of what Congo is in Roska. So I kind of put it on the back burner. And then I think 2018, I started working on some bits, and I kind of worked out the idea and the angle I wanted to take it, because I was hearing some stuff that sounded similar to Congo stuff and sounded like a lot of like the stripped back Roska material, like my remix for Fortet, Love Cry remix and stuff like that. It sounded very, very similar. I had that kind of the edge to techno, but very minimal, but had the backbone of funky. And And then I started looking at what I can do with the Congo material, and then I sent some stuff to Peverlist because I was actually going to release some stuff on Kicks and Snares. I was like, right, I'm going to do a Congo EP, and I left it with Peverlist and a few other people, and then I forgot about it. So literally, I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to just carry on releasing the Roska stuff because it's building, it's getting something. So then Pev just went, he said, what's happening with this EP? And I was like, I don't know, I just ain't got time to release it. And then he just said, look, I'll take it on Liberty Sound. And I was like, perfect, man, because one of the things, like I said before, is like, I try not to take too much stuff on. And like, the idea was good at the time, but I just couldn't invest my time into putting it out myself. And then when that release come out, it was just like, it was amazing because I didn't know how much people actually didn't know I was Congo. And it's not like I cared, but it was like, right, okay, cool. And like, I remember Fristian on Worldwide FM, and he messaged me and didn't know I was Congo. And I was just like, oh man, this is crazy. But it's funny. It brings a bit more fun to it as well. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not trying to hide it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, it's funny when people discover it. Like I have been trying to keep both of them separate as well. So yeah, it's been sort of like an interesting journey the last couple of years with Congo, and sort of watching it build and grow, and kind of watching it grow organically, and not really pushing it to say Congo is Roska, but it's there. Do you know what I mean? For people to see there.
And what's your vision for it? Like, where are you going to take it next?
I just want to put out some good music with it. You know, just like I thought about doing sort of like a live thing with it, but you know, it's like I don't know, you know, I feel like the last couple of years, it's been great to watch it grow and have that. It's like when I first started Roska, I had that freedom of experimenting and not being fully attached or invested into a sound. And I think Bokongo's got that, because I've got people in techno playing Bokongo material, and I've got people in tribal house playing Congo material, and I've got UK funky people playing Congo material. So it's like, it's got a wide sort of reach, and I kind of like that because there's no rules to what I'm doing with Congo. There's no rules to anything, but I like to stick with Roska stuff. I know what people want to hear, and I know what I want to do with that. So with the Congo material, it's like, I don't have to sit there and go, right, this is it's got to have funky drums, or it's got to have a techno. It's just got to have what I feel Congo stands for at that moment in time. And then if I need to add to that and build on it, then I will do that. But I think overall, yeah, it's doing what I think it should be doing. You know what I mean? And I'm happy with the growth of it. And I'm not trying to fast track the career of Congo as such, or the timeline of it. So I'm happy for it to just, you know, be on the fire, just on, you know, simmering rather than, you know, full heat, you know, pouring over and stuff. It's like, it just gives me that time to be able to do this, and do normal life as well without having to be too overwhelmed.
Absolutely. Tell me if this is right or not. This is just what I think I've picked up from social media, but did you manage to do a little DJ set the other day?
Yeah. So
how was that, DJing under the new precautions?
Yeah, do you know what? It was so right. Going into the so I got when the new tiers come out, I got a message from the guys called Accidental, and they just said, yeah, we'd love to get you down to Brighton to play in Patterns. And I was like, okay, cool, great. But I'm still on the edge, because like, I don't know what to expect. Do you know what I mean? And I feel I'm so, you know, when you're so used to an environment, and then you've got to go back into that environment, but it's completely different. And that's what I was worried about. And that's why I haven't really invested in time in doing, but I've only done 2 live streams like this whole time, because I just don't want to do it. I feel that if I just put good music out, I'll be happy with that. So yeah, I accepted the show. They said it's 70 capacity, it will be seated, but it should be good fun. And I was like, I haven't touched the Nexus setup in so long. I've got a controller in my studio that I use. Let me just go for it as well. And I got there, and it's funny because when you go into the actual venue, you have to put your face mask on. But then when you go down, I don't have, because I'm in the booth on my own, so it's like I don't have to wear it. and then everybody's sitting down, but I've come into the club with my face mask on, everybody's sitting down, and I've opened the door and everybody's just looking at me, because it's like, you know, walking into someone with a face mask on and I've got a hat on as well. Like, imagine that, like, last year. Do you know what I mean? It's like that, like, even like the other day, off topic, but I went to my local supermarket, Sainsbury's, and the security guard was following me around, but it's because I had my face mask on so high, it's there, and then my hat on. So it's like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, if I was doing that, like, say, I don't know, like a year or two ago, do you know what I mean? It'd have been a different sort of like scenario. But anyway, back to the club. It's like, it was really good, really good. Like, when people felt the tunes and felt what they liked about the set, they got up and they was cheering, and it felt good. It felt good. It felt good. It surpassed my expectations of what I thought was going to be. So yeah, if anybody's got a chance to go to a club seated, yeah, man, go and enjoy it, man. It's good fun.
I'm glad to hear that it's fun.
Yeah,
it seems such a big adjustment, but that is very hopeful.
The positive though is that no one's requesting nothing. No one can come to the DJ, so I'm good. I'm protected by the laws.
Wow. Let's talk more about making music. So I'd really love to hear your approach to collaboration and working with others. What might you see in an artist that would make you sort of have a thought process of, oh, I'd love to like get in the studio with them and make something?
Most of the time, most of the people that I collaborate with, especially over the last like 3 or 4 years, it's got to be someone that I like, as in like as a person. So as an example, like the last track I released a couple of weeks ago it's called Neutral Grounds with Razlaman, and I really got to know Razlaman over the last like 2 or 3 months, or maybe even more, just being WhatsApping and just chatting and stuff. And I think those sort of relationships help so much more. I mean, we worked remotely, but to have conversations and just talk about anything and everything, you know, whether it's music or whether it's, you know, just general whatever, you know. And it's like I like those relationships with artists more than an email saying, do you want to collab? Yes, I do. Let's meet here and let's do this, because it feels less business, and it brings the best out in you as well. You know, even working with Scratcher early days as well, because I used to see Scratcher was on the breakfast show. I was on the show after he's on Rinse, 11 till 1. So he used to wait around, do his emails, and then we used to go to the cafe together. So we built a good relationship up together. Do you know what I mean? And we done collabs, we done remixes here and there. Like I could call him today and say, let me remix that, and he'll send the parts over. And likewise, if he wanted to remix something, do you know what I mean? We mix it up, and that's how we work. You know, we work on the basis of like, you know, having a good friendship with someone and just being able to just move forward. So even with Serasi, we've done like numerous tunes since 2017, and we have a good we talk pretty much every day, like whether it's a voice note or whether it's just like random stuff, advice, whatever. And again, it's like, I know that I could turn around to him and go, look, I just need some vocals for that track, or he can go, I need a track for my EP or whatever. And you know, we can do that, and it takes the business side out of it. We're just, because we're musicians, we're here for music first and business secondary, you know. So yeah, that's how most of my collaborations go. But not to say that I'd rule out a collaboration with someone big, you know. I've done one with DJ Fresh back in 2018, no, 16. I think it come out in 2018 in the end. So it's like, you know, some collaborations can just happen organically. Some can just happen, you know, by email or whatever. But I prefer the ones when you know the person. It just feels that much more easier to, just get things done, and it's a bit more relaxed as well.
Yeah. Is there a moment that stands out to you as just like a really special studio moment where you just thought, this is great, we're really onto something here?
I'd say what would I say? I don't know, you know. Do you know why? Because I was saying this to someone else the other day, actually, like I never gas on my tunes. I never go, this is sick. like I might say, yeah, this is good. But I always protect my head, like to say, you know, because you could go, this tune is fucking sick, and then all of a sudden you put it out and it's just got that mediocre attention that you wasn't expecting. You're like, flip, I spent all that time saying this is sick, like for someone to just go, yeah, do you know what I mean? So like, I think I've thrown that out, but I'd say early doors was my first album, and at that same time, my that the PC I mentioned, I got that. I ordered that, and then I had to do Fortet's remix, and I think that was a good time because I spent so little, and I learned to spend minimal time on my releases. So, as an example, Fortet messaged me and asked me to remix Love Cry, and then my PC broke. I ordered another PC. It was on its way. I had 2 weeks to do remix. The PC come on the last day of the remix. I finished. I had the idea in my head. And then I just done it straight away. I done it in 4 hours and sent it to him. He doesn't know that story, by the way. But yeah, it's like, as far as he knew, I was doing it for that whole 2 weeks, and then I sent it to him, and it was finalized. But yeah, I'd say times where I felt the time was against me, and it was the excitement of having to wrap up something. That was probably one of my favorite times. Also, I'll say a recent one, which was a few months ago, was. I done 2 tracks for Frisco, one for his album. There's a track called Money Call I done on his album, dancehall track, like 110 BPM vibes. And that one, he messaged me on the Friday and was like, Roska, I need you to finish this track off for me. And I was like, okay. He goes, but I need it by today. So I was like, okay, cool. So he sent me the track, and I redone the drums and the bass, and then sent it back to him. And again, that was a fun thing because I literally shut the computer down in my studio, and I was ready to finish the day. And then he messaged me, and I was like, right, let me, you know what I mean? So the thrill of like having to sort of like rush, but get what you need to get down in a short period of time. I feel like those times more fun for me.
I love that you describe what sounds to me like incredibly stressful moments as like your most fun things.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's the excitement of like being like, I've got to look for a snare, I've got to look for a hat. Do you know what I mean? And just kind of like, yeah, it's just, I like that. It's like, it's not, there's no pressure in it, but you're putting pressure on yourself. And because you're doing something that you love and enjoy, it takes away that the negative side of the stress. It's like a positive stress. I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's positive. You know, something good is going to come up off the back of it if you just like, you know, persevere through it.
Oh, I think that's a really great piece of advice for everyone in every element of life.
Yeah. That's how I've enjoyed music. Like over the last, like, not saying I haven't enjoyed music, but I can honestly say, because I haven't had to tour or anything, this is like the first year. Like, I mean, like my last show before playing in Brighton on Saturday was America. So I went to America, and then like 3 weeks later we're in lockdown, and like it was crazy because I was arranging with my agent Matt in America, like I'm gonna, like, the next tour, use that money to pay for my next visa. Like don't need it. So, and then it's like, okay, cool, like we're in lockdown now. So coming from that to having to sit down, not think about any gigs, itineraries, or, you know what I mean? Anything that involves, like, you know, hotels. It's literally just go home, go in the studio in the back garden and make beats literally all day, every day. Like, it's a dream. Do you know what I mean? So I've had fun. I've had loads of fun this year.
I think we should talk a bit about your labels,
Yeah.
and kind of how you use them to nurture new artists.
Yeah.
Tell me first a bit more about Roska Kicks and Snares.
Yeah, so the idea come about in 2007, and then I put it together in 2008. So the first release was 28th of February 2008. And the idea was, so I was trying to find labels for Funky at the time, and Funky was so new. So there was only a handful of people around. There was Jelly Jams, DJ Zinc and Genius, Fuzzy Logic, Apple, Crazy Cousins, Naughty, Hard House Banton, Invasion Records, and then a few other people here and there. Fuzzy Logic, I think I mentioned. Yeah, so there weren't no labels. It was when I looked, everybody was putting their own music out themselves. So I had to start a label. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that if I press up a record, like I can try and get these in shops, and we move from there and trying. And yeah, it was tough. It was really tough because I didn't know what promo was. I didn't know anything. I was literally like winging it. But every day I'd come home from work, so I was doing a night shift. I'd spend an hour just going through the internet, looking at what I can do and how can I make Roska Kicks and Snares into my label for my output, because it was only for me. It was just like, it's just an output basically to just throw my music out into the world. And I just started working on like pressing releases up and putting them, giving them to the right people. And then after a while, it just showed me. And one thing I always live by, and I tell people all the time, is that, is consistency is the massive key in this whole thing. Whatever you're doing, you've got to be consistent. So with Kicks and Snares, I put out 3 releases that year. And then the next year I put out 4 releases. And off the back of that, I had music playing everywhere. One Extra at the time, Choice FM, which is Capital Extra now, and a few out. A lot of the pirate radio stations were playing it. And I was just trying my best to kind of like see what I can do and see how far I can get, because I didn't do half as well as I thought I would do when I was MCing. And at the time, my cousin, he stopped DJing and went straight like fully into work. So work was his thing. And it kind of put me in a spot where I was like, what do I do? Should I just continue producing, or do I MC or whatever? So when I just started the producing and putting the music out, it was just a gradual build up basically of trying to just see what happens. It was never about money or trying to find like how much I can get out of this situation. It was more of like, just have fun with it and see what happens at the end. You got a job. It's not like you're waiting for, money to come in from music. Just let that do its thing. And lo and behold, like 2009, it was like, I got my show on Rinse, and at that time you could not get a show on Rinse. And it was one of those, like, even when I was on Rinse for the first 2 years, there was at least like 4 or 5 tweets or texts saying, where do I send my demo to? Where do I send my demo to? Like, that's how hard it was to get on Rinse. It was like, it's very based on what you do. Like, if you're good at what you do and your name is there, you get on it, because it's kind of like you earned that spot. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, let's see what you come on the stage and we'll see what you can do. It's the other way around. And that's from that, then it became, an album deal as well off the back of that, and playing Forward, debuting at Forward and Rinse, and a few other things. So that's from there, it kind of helped me to grow. And once I got to like 2010, I didn't know what to do with my label. I was like, how can I keep my label running? Obviously I'm signed, so I didn't want, I'm signed to Rinse. So let me just, stick to doing my stuff on Rinse. So 2010, I started taking on artists on my label. So the first artist I took on was DJ Naughty, released the Firepower EP. And then we took on Jamie George as Tickles, and we took on Jay Kenzo as well. And he was doing like the dubstep stuff, and he was doing more 4/4 stuff on Kicks and Snares. So I kind of like took it upon myself to make it like a hub of, if you're a new artist, like, come on Kicks and Snares, and we'll help you, as well as let you release. So it's not just the release you're getting way more for what you should be paying, really, because I'm not even charging 10% management fee or nothing. I'm just saying, come on the label, I'll show you what I know and what I've learned over the last few years, and help you with whatever you need help with to get forward, whether it was helping people with signing up for PRS, PPL, understanding royalties, and just understanding like the label side of it and what I do, just so they can get a gist of it. And then, if the release does well the first time, we do another one, until either you want to move on or I want to move on, or whatever, or like you might want to go on a bigger label, who knows? So I kind of worked it that way for as long as I can. So you'll find there's like stints of artists that, like Murder He Wrote, he done he's done numerous EPs now, but the idea is always to do 1, 2, or 3 EPs with each artist. And the idea behind that is the first one is an introduction project. The second one is to kind of more establish yourself in there. And then the third one is like, people should know who you are now. And hopefully whoever doesn't know you there or knows you at that point, hopefully they go back and revisit the first 2. So I do quite a lot to kind of work around the artist and give them a name. And I think I've done that pretty well with Murder He Wrote, Polo, and Motu. Just giving them a more of an open platform and use my platforms to introduce them to the world. You know, whereas like a DJ Naughty, who was already established, he was already fully in there. And for me, and even with Champion as well, established as well, come on the label. And it's like bringing those on, it kind of solidifies the fact that this is a funky label and we do have artists that are in funky coming on the label and coming through as well. And just kind of, just establishing Kicks and Snares as a funky label, but we do turn corners every now and then to kind of, you know, complement other sounds that funky's influenced or influenced by funky as well.
You told us at the beginning of this chat about working at O2 and the kind of transferable skills that you picked up there that you applied to music. Would you be able to share with us a bit more about your experience of, you know, quitting your day job to do music full time? I think that's like a thing that a lot of people aspire to and sort of don't know how or when in your career you should sort of commit to doing that. What would your tips be for navigating that?
It's a tough one. So like after O2, I started doing this night shift job. It was like 6 till 2 in the morning, but I'd be home by midnight. So then I'd have 2 hours every day. So I'd have to stay up for that period of time. So I'd be able to make music and read whatever, like my headphones. And during that time, I was taking annual leave, like for any shows that I had. So most of my shows started coming. So I started the night shifts 2008, around when I'd done my first release. And what that would give me is that would give me time to, like, when I was getting the records pressed up in a day, I was able to go, I'd head up to Birmingham, drop records off to the record shop. Again, it wasn't even for money or anything, because Birmingham's far, you know what I mean? To drop off a box of records, you know, from London to Birmingham, it's like, you know, I don't even know how much miles it is, but I was doing that on a regular basis, going up to this place, going to that place, dropping off records in a day. So that would give me enough time to do what I need to do and then go get some sleep and what have you, and then go to work. So by the tail end of like 2009, I started doing more shows. So I was playing in like places like Croatia, doing a lot of like London shows. Bristol was a big place for me to go I was literally going there at least 6-7 times a year to Bristol, playing numerous places in London. And then it started spreading more and more. So I was getting like Switzerland and loads of different countries and cities. And then it got to March 2010, and then I ran out of annual leave. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. It's either I'm going to be able to try and take unpaid leave, or I'm just going to have to just quit. So as time got on, I realized I had an American tour lined up in April. So my album dropped, I think 3rd of April 2010. And then my American tour was a week after for 3 weeks. And then Mary Ann Hobbs asked me if I can do Sonar Festival. I think that year I done Roskilde Festival, Glastonbury. I done my Central Mix that year as well. There's so much stuff going on that year. So I was like, right, you know what? I've got enough stuff. I've got some money because I saved all the money that I had from music. Didn't bother spending that. I just used my work money, and then I quit. But my advice for anybody is that just hang on to a job for as long as possible, especially in this time. Like I wouldn't bank on it, man. Honestly, right now, I would say work and do music as long as you can, you know, because the more money you can have in your pocket, the better. Unless you've got money behind you, you come from a good family, do that by all means. But I'd say if you can hang on to a job, hang on to that. If you've got like any sort of like skill, like just do what you can, and then do the music. And but learn to manage your time. Like there's a book that I read before called 1 Minute Manager, and that will show you how to manage your time really well. So it's about managing your time and knowing, and you got to be strict. And it's like you have, like it's fun, but you have to know what you need to do at specific times, and that's the only way you can really work it. You know, yeah, that's the advice. That's all the advice I can give, really. I'm just trying to think of anything else.
I do think that's really, really solid advice. And
yeah.
there has perhaps before this year been a bit of a stigma. Oh, you know, you don't really do music unless you do it as your whole thing. Hopefully 2020 is the year where we've absolutely shed all of that, and you can just say, do you know what, I'm just multi-talented. I can do many different things.
Yeah, that's it. I think you have to do what you can. At the end of the day, it's your bills, not anybody else's. And it's like, they're not going to pay it. They can say all what they like, you know, as long as you're doing what you need to do to make sure you're living good and putting out the good music. And when I mean being like strict with what you're doing, is that if you want music to be your thing and you do intend on leaving work at some point, like show people that you're serious from the start. So all these people that you're working with, if they see that you're serious from here, when you get from there to there and you've left your job behind, they will take that and they will remember those times. You know, I've had it before with artists on the label where, you know, because music's not their main thing, and, you know, their bread and butter is with this job. It's like, it's hard to kind of, and I get it because, you know, timing and stuff, but if you can make both things work, make your hobby work as well as your main job, you'll be good, and you'll be able to get to that point. You know, hopefully, you know, when this whole lockdown and COVID, you know, passes us, you know, this will come in handy for people that are looking to pursue that as well, man. So yeah, fingers crossed everybody can do what they want to do. It's hard. I never thought like I would do music full time. It was always, yeah, I'll just do it, you know, play on the weekends and whatever and put music out. And I think that's what kept me going as well, because in my head, I wasn't going, I'm going to be this person, I'm going to kill it, I'm going to smash it, because I never kept that hope. It was more of, it can be done, but let's just do it release by release and see what happens, you know?
Consistent. I love it. So my last question for you is all about 2021. What are your kind of goals for your music, and is there anything that you'd like to see from kind of the wider industry?
I think, I'm not sure what I want to do next year. I've got with me, it's like I got ideas and packages. So I'll package projects up and work on ideas on who I want to work with and stuff like that. So that's what I do initially. And then it could be a thing of, I just wake up that one day and be like, right, this is what I'm going to put out next. So like even this week, I've got a release coming out on Friday. And then I had one come out 2 weeks ago, and then a month ago. So like, I like to just do things because I can, as well as because I want to share it and I want to have fun with it. So as for planning, not really much in plan, but plans are in place. So you know, I could end up putting something out end of January or beginning of February. That's probably a realistic thing for me. That could happen. So that's there. But ideally, I want to do some more visuals, because I've done a few visuals this year, and all the visuals I've done, I filmed them all myself as well. So I filmed them all, and then I got someone else to edit the videos. So a lot of so just use my iPhone as well. It's 4K, chuck it in 4K. Let's have fun with it. So for me, it's like just having that fun of doing stuff DIY. I ain't looking to spend money. I don't care about videos like that, but I just want to have something that's out there that I can say, yeah, you know what? I had fun doing this and that and adding a few bits to my skill set and just taking it from there. As for things I'd like to see, I would just like to see whether it's labels, also like, you know, we see the talks about Spotify not paying people. I just want to see people get paid for their art. You know, companies like Spotify, yeah, they can do way better and give people what they require. But on the flip of that as well, I put out a tweet the other day, actually. Sorry, I'm just trying to think of all this stuff. So yeah, so like cause I see people when everybody is putting up their what do you call it? Like there's a recap or whatever, the Spotify thing saying
wrapped.
The wrap up. Yeah. So when everybody's putting that up, I see like obviously like a few bitter people going, you know, this and that, and saying it's not a numbers thing or whatever. And it's like, man, let these guys be proud of what they're doing, man. It's like they're happy. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like I think people like to put a dampener on certain things, or like you're getting what I put the tweet out about was about people just like what was I gonna say now? I feel like you got those people that don't really invest that much time into music, right? And they feel that just because they don't, they have to bring that negativity to everybody else in terms of like, just because they don't post up their wrap ups, you know what I mean? Just leave the guy that wants to put his wrap up. Do you know what I mean? It's like let everybody have their fun and enjoy themselves, man. And I think that's what I'd like to see more of. Just people just letting people just live, man. You know what I mean? That's more money for people that deserve it, and let people live, man.
I love that.
Yeah.
2021 sorted.
There you go, man. Might run for Prime Minister.
Absolutely, Roska for Prime Minister. Well, thank you so much for bringing us into your world and sharing all this valuable knowledge of your career so far.
Yeah,
thank you so much, Roska.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you.